Hey everyone, hope everybody's doing well and staying healthy. Just trying out this new technology that we have. This is going to be something that we're going to have to do in the next few weeks if we're not back in school. I think that we used our 2 weeks for our review. The first 2 weeks we've been out. I can't believe it's been 2 weeks already, or almost 2 weeks. But we went through that one Regents exam. I hope you were putting in your time and effort into that, because just remember, whoever's doing the work is the one doing the learning. And if you can learn from your mistakes on that Regents, that would be very helpful. But now, if we're going to be out even longer, and I know we're out until at least April 1st, so what I'm going to start doing is providing you with these short videos that are going to help to introduce you to the new topics that we have. We have 3 main topics left, plus one more smaller one left. We have reproduction, we have ecology, evolution, and we have the human body systems, which is the smaller of those. So this technology that I have is going to allow me to post YouTube videos with some notes, and I think it's going to be helpful to just kind of go through it and just explain things a little bit. I'm also going to be posting on my eBoard, or perhaps on Google Classroom, whichever one's going to be a better platform for that. I'm going to be posting the PowerPoint slides that we normally would have been doing in class, as well as the review book topic from Reproduction, which is going to allow you to just read through that and perhaps just really get some short information that could be very helpful to you. There's also some good questions in that review book, so we may have you do some of those as well. But either way, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be just learning about the basics of reproduction. So I would encourage you to write down these notes as I'm writing them down, just because, again, that's what's going to help you to remember things. So when we talk about reproduction, just remember that reproduction is a life function. And life functions, there are 8 of them that we talked about at the beginning of the year. These are characteristics that define life. Things like transport, excretion, growth, synthesis, respiration, regulation. Well, reproduction is one of those. And remember that this is the only one that is not necessary for survival. So the only one, yes, not necessary for survival. So if an organism is not carrying out regulation, so it's not maintaining homeostasis, there's a good possibility that that organism will die. If it's not transporting materials, it will die. If it's not carrying out respiration and producing usable energy, it will die. But reproduction is not necessary for survival. However, it is a life function because only living things can reproduce according to our definition of life. So reproduction is, basically this concept of making more organisms. So that's how we have to define it. So it's the making of more organisms. Now, the way that these organisms are made could be different in every living thing, just like the way that an organism transports materials is different in every living thing. However, reproduction, by definition, is the making of more organisms. So these could either be identical to the original. This would be associated with what we would call asexual reproduction. Or they could be similar. I apologize, sometimes this thing, it's not really designed for lefties, and I hit these things on the part of my screen and it moves the screen around, so I apologize for that. But anyway, so reproduction is the making of more organisms that are either similar to or identical to the originals. And you and I, we are similar to our parents, but not identical. But if you were to look at something like a bacteria or something like an amoeba, when they divide, they are dividing into 2 cells that are identical. So reproduction is the making of more. It's just a matter of how it goes about it that's going to determine what particular offspring similarity you'd have, whether it would be identical or whether it would be similar. So the last thing we've got to do with this basic introduction is to understand that there are 2 methods. There are 2 methods of reproduction. One of those methods will give you identical offspring. The other one will give you similar offspring. So one of them is called asexual reproduction. So I'm going to write here that's going to give you identical. And then, of course, we have sexual reproduction, which would give us similar. And, of course, this is resulting in offspring. Similar or identical offspring. So what I need to do at this point is I need to pull up my little screen, so bear with me because this is all new. Okay, there it goes. And what I want to do now is I just want to give you a brief overview of sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction we know some basics about it already. We just talked about the fact that it makes organisms that are similar but not identical to the original. Well, one of the reasons is because the genetic material in or during sexual reproduction, the genetic material comes from two different cells. Comes from two specialized cells. And these specialized cells have a special name, of course, as many things in science. They're called gametes, which I think we've mentioned before. And gametes in most higher animals come in one of two varieties. We have the male gamete, which we would call sperm, and we'd have the female gamete, which we would call eggs, or if you want to be really fancy, the ova. Come on, ova. Yeah, ova. But yeah, those are the two types of gametes that you'd find in most higher animals. So these are gametes, and gametes are special because they have, or they are produced by a special type of reproduction. And that special type of reproduction is called meiosis, or meiotic cell division. So sexual reproduction involves meiotic cell division, also known as meiosis. Meiosis. Sorry, this thing is not so easy to write on, so I apologize. But thankfully, it is kind of similar to my smartboard. But anyway, so it involves meiotic cell division. Notice it's meiotic, not mitotic. That's a big difference. So what meiosis is, or meiotic cell division, is a special type of division. It's a special type of cell division I'll pull this up again. It's a special type of cell division that actually produces special type of cell division that produces 4 cells, each with half the genetic material as the original. So that way, when you take a sperm and an egg and you put them together, you get the normal number of chromosomes, or the normal number of genetic material that is necessary for a particular type of organism. So let me give you an example. In humans, we have 46 chromosomes. That's how many pieces of genetic material we have. However, gametes, or specialized reproductive cells, sperm or eggs, depending on if you're male or female, contain only 23 chromosomes, half as many. So when you take one sperm and fertilize one egg, 23 plus 23 gives us the 46. And that's the basis of sexual reproduction. So the only place where you're going to find meiosis, or this special type of division happening, is in the reproductive structures. Only in the reproductive structures. So we're going to learn a little bit about that a little bit down the road. But for males, that would be the testes to produce sperm. And for females, that would be the ovaries to produce eggs. So those would be the reproductive structures where meiosis would happen. It doesn't happen in our skin cells because we need skin cells to be genetically identical. Okay, so this process of meiosis produces gametes, occurs only in the reproductive structures. And of course, like we mentioned earlier, that this is only carried out. I have to move it up again. Only carried out by more complex organisms. So that's a little bit about sexual reproduction. Now, the last thing we're going to do today before we wrap this up is we've got to talk briefly about asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction is different because all the genetic material comes from only one parent. All the genetic material from one parent. So this results in offspring that are identical to the parent. So it involves mitotic cell division. This is also known as mitosis. And what this does, what mitosis does, is it produces two cells, and those two cells are genetically identical. So essentially, this asexual reproduction is making a clone, essentially. The cells are genetically identical. Now we know that cloning, what we learned about is cloning is an artificial type of biotechnology or genetic engineering. This is making a clone naturally. And this is carried out by simple organisms so this would be things like bacteria, things like protists, and some plants can do this as well. Things like certain types of plants are able to produce what they call runners, where they have these horizontal roots that run just under the ground, and wherever they hit the surface, they sprout a new plant. Or if you've seen potatoes, sometimes the eye of a potato can grow into a new potato. That would be an example of asexual reproduction in some types of plants or plant structures. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to post on my. I'm going to post. Wow, I can't get that other. I'm going to post on my eBoard or on the Google Classroom. I'll let you know where it is. The link for an Amoeba Sisters video. So I'm going to put it down here. I'll just put it in red for you. So the Amoeba Sisters video. That's going to be asexual versus sexual reproduction. So I will post that link for you. And please make sure that you're putting in your time and effort. It's going to really be important since we're not able to get together to meet. So anyway, have a good day, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you soon. If you need anything, please email me. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.